and welcome to the Homemade Podcast Sports. This is your host, J Pops. And welcome back to the Homemade Podcast Sports with your host, J Pops. Guys, today's date is November 9th, 2020 in this beautiful city of Houston, Texas, people. The weather is great out here. The sun is shining. My goodness, it isn't much more you can ask for. The only thing that we're missing right now is some good Aggie football on a Saturday. All right? So, anywho, we played the game with South Carolina. Now, South Carolina is behind us, people. So that's where we're going to leave them. We're going to leave South Carolina behind us because South Carolina is now in the past, okay? We're not going to talk about the South Carolina game anymore. Now it's time to move on to Tennessee. So, in this jam-packed episode, yes, we have a packed episode, people. First of all, before we get started, the show is sponsored by Dopeness Styles and King's Beards Grooming Company. Yes, people, once again, the show is sponsored by Dopeness Styles and King's Beard Grooming Company. We have a fun-filled episode. We're going to, talk about some things. We're going to get into some good things. As of right now, I am watching the Tennessee football game of when they played Arkansas. And I'm getting into the second quarter, and the second quarter is kind of like, almost over with. But I will say this. Tennessee scored on a couple of drives in that Arkansas game, but they were so methodical. Jared Garantano, once again, that guy's a senior. I did not know that guy was a fifth-year senior. That's the bad part about it. I did not know that he was a fifth-year senior. That guy, and it's a lot of people that love to bash Kellen Mond, but I can tell you right now, Tennessee would take Kellen Mond over Jared Garantano any time in day of the week. And I put that on anything. It's a lot of teams that'll take Kellen Mond over the quarterbacks that they already have any time in day of the week. Jared Garantano is, and there's a lot of people that love to say that he's up and down and things like that. But that guy's just not fit to play that position, I don't believe. I honestly believe that guy is just not fit to play that position. I have no clue of what he does. And as of right now, between those two quarters, although they had about, I think they're right now at about like 10 points. I haven't seen them get to 17 points like it was, like we had seen, on the thing on the TV of when we were, like watching our game and stuff like that. But the 10 points they scored, it took them so long. They didn't score those 10 points to the second quarter. That team, as of right now, under Jeremy Pruitt, and Jeremy Pruitt, I was a big believer in that guy. And don't get me wrong, I'm still kind of a big believer in that he'll get that Tennessee program turned around. But as of right now, that Tennessee program looked as confused as anybody I've seen play football in the SEC. They are so confused. They don't know what the hell is going on. They don't know which way to go. They don't necessarily know the routes and the reads and things like that. But the team has some good play. Man, the team has athletes. I would not take that away from that Tennessee program. Hell, we all know that. That team has athletes. They just don't have a scheme. I honestly don't know what's going on with that program. But, anywho, let's get into some things here. So, first of all, this is some news. And if you guys have been tuned into this podcast long enough, you guys know I come with the news first. So, this is some breaking news for us Texas A&M football fans. And for the Ole Miss fans, too, if you guys are listening. Ole Miss Rebel fans, if you guys are listening, come on to the podcast, man. Texas A&M versus Ole Miss. Game time. Channel now set. Number 5, Texas A&M will play on the road this coming weekend at Tennessee in the game that was added to the schedule over the summer. This is the article that I'm reading. After that, the Aggies will return to Kyle Field for the first time in 3 weeks. 3 weeks as they host Ole Miss. On Monday, the Southeastern Conference announced the kickoff times and networks for that weekend. On Saturday, November 21st, Texas A&M and Ole Miss will get the main time slot for the conference as it will kick off at 2:30 p.m. Central on CBS. Welcome back, Aggies. Welcome back to the primetime slot. We have now made our way to the primetime slot on CBS. The only reason why they're putting the Aggies in that primetime spot on CBS is because the Southeastern Conference now feels that Texas A&M is a team that we should be showing, and we want the world to see. We want to put that team on display, and we want to let the world get a chance to see what Texas A&M is really doing. Are we looking at that game now? No. We are focusing on Tennessee. We're focusing on the Tennessee Vols. We go on the road. This is our first ever time going to Neyland Stadium. So we're focused on the road, and we're focused on that atmosphere. As of right now, I can tell you this. What Texas A&M is doing on the road and what we seen those guys just do to South Carolina, although I just said that's in the past, but what we seen these guys do to South Carolina on the road, they took that road atmosphere and they made that road atmosphere feel like they're at home. They simply took their stadium away from them and put it in their pockets and said, no, no, no. This is our stadium. This is our home, and we're coming to handle our business. In my factual opinion here, Texas A&M will go on the road once again, and they will take that Neyland Stadium, put it in their pockets, and say, no, no, no. This is our home, and we're here to handle business. We're trying to get somewhere, okay? We're trying to get somewhere. It took us time to get it, and we'll be damned if anybody gets in our way from here on out. Understand this. After that Alabama game and that Florida game, something sparked that Texas A&M football team. Something pissed that Texas A&M football team off to where they have the mindset now of, if that, we're about to take it all. We're going to take it all. And if we have to have a 9-1 record, then so be it. We'll just have a 9-1 record this year, and we'll just go out like that. But we'll be damned if we come out here and simply let somebody take advantage of us again. I honestly think that that's the mindset that these guys have now, man. These guys are playing that way. These guys are playing with anger. They're playing with anger, and they're playing with confidence. When you have anger and confidence mixed together, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I'm going to say that once again. That's dangerous. All right. So, let's get on back here. Let's talk about some more news. Texas A&M opens up as big favorite against Tennessee. If you guys wanted to know with the betting lines are out, people. When the game line was published on Sunday, Texas A&M opened as a 12-point favorite according to William Hill Sportsbook. The over and under is set at 53.5 points. Once again, Texas A&M is a 12.5-point favorite. From me looking at that first half, and I'm going to run down some stats here. That's what we're going to get into. I'm going to run down some stats and stuff like that in a little bit here. From me looking at that Tennessee and Arkansas game, and from me just looking at what Tennessee is actually doing offensively and defensively, I think we'll win by more than 12 points. That's my honest opinion on that. I have not laid a prediction yet, but you know what? I'm going to come up with one on this Monday. I'm not going to wait that long. I'm going to come up with one now. The prediction for this game, and don't get me wrong, we're going on the road. I understand that. The prediction for this game alone, and I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to say this with confidence and ease. And there's a lot of folks that ain't going to agree with me. They're going to be so mad at me. Tennessee Vol fans, if you're listening, hey, it's no hard feelings against you guys when I say this score. 41-3, Texas A&M. I'm going to say this once again. The score will be 41-3, Texas A&M. I'm going to run down some stats here, and I'm going to tell you why I feel that way. Although that's not getting deep off into the statistical category, because you guys know how I like to break down all of my statistical stats leading into game day. Okay? So, anywho, that's just my prediction. The 48-3 that they put on South Carolina, that surprised the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. And that should have surprised a lot of Aggie fans. Matter of fact, that should have surprised 100% of the Aggie fan base. Could not believe we went down there and left those guys at 3 points. We knew for sure that, as I seen the predictions down my timeline, 41-31, 34-21, 48-21, stuff like that, 41-21. It's nobody in their right mind that can say, oh, well, shit, we predict them have. No, we didn't, man. We did not. So our apologies to the defense. At the end of the day, that's our apologies to our Texas A&M defense. And when I get into some stuff here, you guys are going to be thrilled and you guys are going to be amazed. All right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into some things here. So I have some things to talk about. And I just want you guys to hear me out here. So, in a post-game interview, when Jimbo Fisher was asked about the team overall, if you guys had watched that interview on the last podcast that I had, I only had like a little small clip of it, but you guys know that you can go and find those interviews. He made an emphasis to include everybody and not just one person, especially when he started to talk about his freshmen that came into the game in the fourth quarter. And we're talking about the South Carolina game here now, people. So he made an emphasis on that. And if you guys was listening, Jimbo Fisher was really, really thrilled about his freshmen that got on that field. Matter of fact, his freshmen and his red shirt freshmen. Well, they was red shirt freshmen and true freshmen. He was so thrilled about those guys getting out there on that field and getting them some game time under them. What he said at the end of that was that he hopes to see more in all games going forward. He hopes to see more of those guys in all games going forward. So you know what that means? Jimbo Fisher now has the mindset of putting his foot on each and every opponent's throat, whether they like it or not. All right? Let that sink in. So a lot of you guys have been waiting for me to talk about Haynes King. A lot of you guys, y'all been waiting for me to talk about Haynes King. I know you guys have. Well, Jimbo Fisher talked about him. And what he said was that he will be a really good football player going forward. That speaks volume. I understand, that's what every coach. Oh, man, every coach says that. I know it. But how the way Jimbo Fisher said it and presented it is going to make you feel a lot differently. So the thing is this. Jimbo Fisher, I want you guys to hear me here. So the thing is this. Jimbo Fisher was willing to risk it all by keeping an in-house quarterback and just simply developing him into an elite quarterback, which takes time, usually. But with Haynes King, I'm going to tell you this right now. That young man will start next year. Ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know Zach Delzato had been in line. But he will start next year. But he will also be a generational type of quarterback that, in my opinion, will be better than Johnny Football. So hear me out. Once again, keep listening. I know you guys have something to say right away, but I just said that. Continue to listen. And what I mean by that is he will just simply be Haynes King. Okay? He ain't thinking about Johnny Manziel. He's going to simply be Haynes King. He's going to be himself. But the difference is that he will get a chance to play with premium talent. All right? He will get a chance to play with premium talent, in which Johnny didn't specifically have that chance, people. He didn't have that at all, but he made do. Okay? Although Kevin Sumlin recruited his ass off, he wasn't able to develop those guys like they should have been developed. So listen to me. So you guys have to remember, King was a part of that number 6 recruiting class. He was a part of the number 6 recruiting class, okay? Not taking anything away from Kevin Sumlin. But Haynes King was a part of a whole nother generational type of recruiting class. Okay? He was a part of that number 6 recruiting class along with Damon Demas, Devon Unchained, DeAndre Jackson, Chris Morris, which is an offensive lineman, Max Wright, which was with the class before him, I believe, Musa Muhammad, who's that wide receiver, Baylor Cup, who's the tight end, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, it's a list of people that came in with Haynes King, people. That is what I'm telling you. That is what I'm saying to you. He will be a better version because of the simple fact that Haynes King came in with a bunch of guys that will all be generational type of talent for this Texas A&M football program in which nobody has ever seen before. Nobody has ever seen that before. If you guys can go back, when we used to play Texas Longhorns, the difference was that Texas just used to have a better recruiting class. Okay? They had always had the better recruiting class. Now Texas A&M is starting to feel that now. Now we're starting to have a better recruiting class. See, you guys have to start pinpointing things here. Now we're starting to look better in recruiting. Now we have the better class. It ain't the Longhorns anymore. It's us. It's A&M. Although we aren't trying to put ourselves and measure the Texas Longhorn stats against us. I'm just giving you guys an example. Okay, it's a lot of Longhorn fans that might come on this podcast and, oh, look at them. They talking about the Longhorns again. No, we're not. I'm just giving an example. Okay, that's all I'm doing. If anything, the Longhorns talk about Texas A&M more than anything. Okay, but anywho, this isn't about the Longhorns. This is about the Texas A&M football program. All right, so you guys have to remember that. See, Jimbo Fisher, keep on listening. See, Jimbo Fisher and Darrell Dickey is running an old school keep away offense. They're still running the same old school offense. It's still old school. But they're running the old school keep away offense, but in a modernized form. This is a modernized version of an old school offense. Okay, this is a modernized version, which in this day and age will be the first time ever. This is the first time ever you have seen an old school offense in a modernized version. I want you guys to let that sink in. Run the tape back. Look at all the games. Look at how the way that offense is playing. That offense is playing balance and then just pass. It's run and pass. And they're so balanced to where it's hard to defend that when it's modernized in this day and age of offense. That's what I want you guys to realize. That's what I want you guys to understand. You guys had to understand that Jimbo Fisher was catching up. He was catching up. It just took him a while to do it. And it took him time, and kudos to the Texas A&M athletic department for hanging in there with him and just saying, okay, well, do your thing. Block out the noise. We don't really care about what anybody else is saying. We believe in you. Do what you do best. We're going to fall back, and we're going to let you do your job. The difference with this Texas A&M athletic department and the Texas Longhorns athletic department is that the Texas Longhorns athletic department keeps their hands in those coaches' business day in and day out. The difference with Texas A&M is that Texas A&M has the knowledge of just falling back and saying, hey, man, you do your own thing. You do your own thing, and we're going to fall back on it. All right, this is the 12th man, and just know that the 12th man is behind you 100%. That's the difference. That is the difference. Okay? Please understand that. That is the difference. That's the difference. Anywho, that's why I never gave up on the man. And that's what he's constantly been wanting to establish. All right? So, anywho, we're going to drop these stats, and then that's going to be pretty much the end of this episode. I told you I was giving you just a little teaser. All right? So, college team talent to begin with. This is the college team talent. Texas A&M is 11. with 4 5-stars, 38 4-stars, and 37 3-stars. Tennessee is 15th with 5 5-stars, 31 4-stars, and 49 3-stars. Okay? 49 3-stars. Now, these here are just SEC stats, and we're going to get off into it. A&M in total yards on offense is 5th. 7 in passing, 2nd in rushing, 3rd on downs made. All right? A&M on defense is now number 1 in the SEC. I can't remember the last time when A&M was in the top 5 on defense in the back half of the season. I cannot remember that. If you guys know, please, man, drop a stat line down here and let me see it. God damn it, let me see it. Because I don't know. I don't remember the last time. Hell, we've been in the SEC for 8 years now. I cannot remember the last time that we were top 5. I do not. All right, but anywho, A&M on defense is now number 1 in the SEC. It's a lot of folks, and this was a Big 12 fan in one of the groups that I'm in. This was a Big 12 fan coming in talking about, well, you know, the SEC is playing a Big 12 style of football now. And I guess the Big 12 is the one who's playing deep. Man, if y'all don't get out of here with that shit, man, what it took y'all 15 years to catch up and notice what the word defense meant? Anywho, moving along. A&M on defense, once again, is number 1, okay? Points allowed, they're number 5. Passing yards allowed, they're number 5. Rushing yards allowed, they're number 2. And that is all you guys need to know. We're still working on our pass defense. It got better in the last game, but what I want to see those guys crack down on is letting those guys run behind them. Safeties, if you guys are listening, you guys got to stop letting those guys run behind y'all. Defensive backs, corners, if you're listening, you got to stop letting those guys run behind y'all. I'd rather y'all get a damn holding penalty than let those guys run free and get a touchdown. That's just me, in my opinion. Let's get into Tennessee. This is why I said the score the way I said, 41-3. Tennessee in total yards on offense, number 13. Tennessee fans, if you're listening, welcome to the podcast, people. I thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome to the podcast. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. Tennessee in total yards on offense, number 13. 13 in passing, 8th in rushing, 9th on downs made. Let's move along. Tennessee on defense, number 10. And these are just the SEC stats I'm giving. Tennessee on defense, number 10. 9th in points allowed, 6th in passing yards allowed, 10th in rush yards allowed. Isaiah Spiller, if you're listening, and Naya Smith, and I know for sure that Jimbo Fisher is going to open up with a split backfield this entire game because of how the way Isaiah Spiller has been running, and we don't want that guy to get banged up like that. We don't want him to get hurt. He's going to run a split backfield, and I know he is. He may not put Smith back there. He may just put A-Chain back there. All right, so it might be A-Chain and Isaiah Spiller. Isaiah Spiller is going to get the carries, people. He is the workhorse. He's the workload. We're going to depend on him. But we don't want him to get hurt in this back half of the season. So that's why the depth chart was crucial. We have a humongous depth chart. We have a humongous depth chart on both sides of the ball. Not just on offense, but both sides of the ball. We're going to have a field day on that run defense. Now, leading up to game day, will those guys be prepared at Tennessee? I'm pretty sure they will. And they know that we're going to run the ball. But when that happens, Kellen Mond will open up the passing game with Watermeyer. Also, Watermeyer. My good man. Do we not have one of the best tight ends in all of the SEC and all of college football? That's a discussion for later on throughout the season. We will see. But we have one of the best tight ends in all of college football. And that's hands down. Anywho, Isaiah Spiller will have a field day. Kellen Mond will do a couple of zone reads again. And A-Chain will have a field day. Field day. And also, Anaya Smith will have a field day. So, I want you guys just keep on continuing to listen. Listen to this podcast. Keep on hitting that subscribe button. I love it. I love it. I'm getting more subscribers than what I asked for. So, I thank you guys for telling a friend and tell a friend. But I'm just giving you a little teaser. That was a little rundown. Tomorrow we'll get into some more statistical rankings, some deep statistical rankings, and we'll keep going from there. Let's keep this train rolling. Texas A&M is now number 5 team, people, in all of college football. Is that a bigger target on our back now? Hell yeah. It's one of the biggest targets that we've had on our back in a long time. So we're continuing to steadily progress, and we're continuing to steadily move. We're learning how to win on the road in a huge way. But it had to start somewhere. It had to start somewhere. We're learning how to win on the road in a more better, convincing fashion. Okay? So Jimbo Fisher, once again, has now caught up to how the way college football is being played offensively. He has now caught up. I knew that when he had his chance to catch up, it was going to be electric and it was going to be dangerous. So continue to watch the podcast, people. I love you guys. And I cannot thank you guys. Enough. And once again, it's the hashtag Homemade Podcast Sports, which hosts J Pops. Guys, please follow me on Facebook at J Pops. At J Pops. Please follow me on Instagram at J Pops 2020 and also on Twitter at J Pops 05. Once again, it's the Homemade Podcast Sports. I love you guys. I love you. Keep on continuing to hit that subscribe button and tell a friend. Hashtag Gigamagas. And thank you guys for tuning in to the hashtag Homemade Podcast Sports. Please, guys, subscribe to the YouTube page and also follow me on Twitter at JPops, on Instagram at JPops, and also on Facebook at hashtag Homemade Podcast Sports. Thank you guys once again. Hashtag Gigamagas.